Welcome everybody to the Latino and Latina Plastic Surgery Society match panel. Thank you so much for being here. We have a really great number of participants today. And I want to thank both Isabel Silva and Valeria Bustos for helping facilitate this panel today. And then to our speakers, Alex Antezana, Edgar, Soto, and Karla, Maita, and Valeria as well. So congratulations to everybody. It's a really big deal to match into plastic surgery. It's definitely one of the most competitive fields, and we're all very proud of you guys getting into the field that you were hoping to, right? That's the most, I think that's the, there's just so much anxiety through this process, and it just takes a significant commitment to get to where you are. And so go ahead, Valeria. I don't mean to take your responsibilities, but I just wanted to say hello.
Thank you so much, Dr. Galvez. I appreciate your words, and thank you so much for all your guidance. So I guess let's get started. Good evening, everyone. My name is Valeria Bustos, as Dr. Galvez mentioned, and I am a member of the Latino Plastic Surgery Society as well. And today I have the incredible honor to be the host of this event, which is our second one actually in this matter. And we hope you guys find this very helpful for your path in plastic surgery as a Latino. So Isabel Silva, who is also a founder and a third-year medical student at Rutgers, will be helping us. In the panel, we have an incredible and outstanding group. Congratulations, guys, for this incredible achievement. And I feel extremely proud of all of us. And well, we have Alex Antezana, Edgar Soto, Karla, Maita, and me. The agenda for today will be the following. We will start with a brief introduction of all of us, followed by some questions, and then we will do a quick wrap up. For those who are joining, thank you for taking the time to listen to our stories, and feel free to raise your hand or write any questions in the chat. So let's start with introductions. Who would want to start in the panel?
You should go.
You don't mind? Oh.
Okay, Karla, you can go.
Yeah, okay, if you don't mind, I can start it. Well, thank you, the Latino Plastic Surgery Society, for inviting me. It's really an honor for me to share my story with all of you. And I hope this story inspired you to working hard to the dreams to become a plastic surgeon, a Latino plastic surgeon in the United States. Well, I'm from Venezuela. I graduated as a medical doctor nearly 17 years ago. You can imagine how hard has been this process for me. I did a general surgery residency and a plastic surgery residency, and I practiced plastic surgery in Venezuela for almost 5 years. I always had the idea to pursue a craniofacial fellowship, but always thinking coming back to my country to practice there. And for that reason, I got opportunities to do observership here in the United States. And I did 2 observership in 2016 and 2017, and one in Chicago with Dr. Arun Hussein, and the other one in Miami with Dr. Anthony Wolf. And I was fascinated with all this experience. You can imagine coming from Venezuela and have this experience here. I definitely feel this is the place where I want to be. So at that moment, that was in 2017, Venezuela was having a really, really bad crisis in all the aspects, political, economical, and social aspect. And this plus the experience that I had here motivated me to take this big decision in my life, that was move to the United States and start everything again. So I moved to Chicago in 2018. with a F1 visa, a student visa with Kaplan Medical Institution that prepares the medical student for take the USMLE. I took a step 1 and a step 2 CK with Kaplan, and in January 2020, I started looking for a research experience to improve my CV and to have a stronger application for the match. And I got the position where I am now at Mayo Clinic, Jacksonville in Florida. I have been here for 2 years and 5 months now, and it's been an amazing experience. And well, I don't know if we will continue talking about the match process or give you the opportunity to another one to introduce themselves.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I think like we can go with Edgar. Edgar, would you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi y'all. Thanks, Valeria. Thanks, Karla. We'll see you all at intern camp. I'm Edgar Soto. I'm from Angao, Michoacan, Mexico, but I grew up in Houston, and that was the pathway that I took. I'm the first person in my family to graduate high school, college, all that sort of business. And it took me a while to actually get into med school after I graduated college, just because I didn't have that mentorship and support. And it became a 7th grade math teacher right after college, where it reminded me, I grew up in Houston, predominantly like El Barrio, like a Latino neighborhood. And then when I became a teacher, I was in South Central LA, basically teaching the people I grew up with. And the frustrating thing about being a teacher when you want to be a doctor is seeing all the health inequities around you that you can't change. And reminding yourself why you want to pursue what you want to do, and seeing how being a leader, you can hopefully change that in the future. I went to med school in Alabama, and I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician when I started. And I started shadowing and quickly realized that surgery was kind of where my mind kind of lay, and then kind of found myself shadowing plastic surgery without knowing I was shadowing plastic surgery. And by the end of my first year, I decided I wanted to be a plastic surgeon because of the reconstructive aspect and the hand aspect, and being able to work with communities of color who are coming in with all of these problems that are functional and need a lot of rehab and a lot of coaching and a lot of education, but where you can actually help them in a day. And I took a research year at my institution at UAB through the NIH, and realized kind of quickly that for me, I'm not the best score taker, but I can learn how to do research, and I can contribute to the scientific literature, and I'll be able to learn plastic surgery that way. And when I do my clinical rotations, I'll make sure that if I don't want to do anything else, at least I tried. That's just a little bit about me. I think I rambled a little bit. Sorry about that, y'all. Nice to meet y'all.
Thanks, Edgar. Alex just joined us. Hi, Alex. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, guys. Yeah, sorry, I was running a little bit behind. I'm in Lima, Peru right now, and was having trouble catching a cab. So sorry about that.
No worries. We're glad you made it. So we are just introducing ourselves, not to put you in the spot right now, but if you want to introduce yourself, we're in that moment.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Really happy to speak with you guys today. So my full name is Luis Alejandro Antezana, but I've gone by Alex my whole life. I was actually born in Bolivia, spent a little time in Peru, and so I'm kind of back here just on vacation a little bit to see some family members that I haven't seen in a while. But moved to the States when I was 6, and then moved all over the country, all over the East Coast, and have been in Charlotte, North Carolina for the past 12, 14 years now. Ended up going to Duke for undergrad, and then I just graduated from Mayo in Rochester this past weekend. So that was really awesome. In terms of think Edgar touched on just like plastics in general. I come from, a family of physicians, one of them being a surgeon, and that's kind of just introduced to you pretty early on. But never really wanted that to be kind of the reason why I went into things. But in undergrad, I got some exposure to hand surgery, hand transplant in general, which really caught my eye. I thought that was super cool and didn't know that that was a part of plastics. And that kind of was my kind of initial interest in plastics. And I kind of ran with that in medical school. And I ultimately found that I really loved a lot of other subsurgical specialties, but came back to plastics because it was the one where you could work kind of with all of them on different cases and that sort of thing. And I think one thing you'll find also is that mentors throughout your life will undoubtedly have some influence in the things you want to go into. You find people that you can look up to and you're like, I want to do what they do. And so there was definitely some influence in that sense too. But yeah, happy to be here and answer any questions that you all may have.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So I guess I'll say my introduction. So I'm Valeria Bustos. I'm originally from Colombia, where I was born and raised. I did my med school there in Colombia. I moved from Barranquilla to Bogota, the capital. I completed my medical degree, and after that, I did some rotations in Miami when I was in my last year of medical school. And when I was there, I realized that I like research, and specifically in plastic surgery. So after graduating, I decided to pursue research. One of the reasons why I applied and got accepted here in my current position as a research fellow in BIDMC Harvard, as a research fellow, and I'm in my second year. So after that, I came here. I did a Master of Science in Clinical Research in Germany, and then as well did a Master of Public Health in Harvard T. Chan School of Public Health, which I'm graduating actually this week. So I am very excited. I think like this combination, or this time also in research, have made me as well increase my passion to plastic surgery. I guess that since little, I come from a family of doctors. My dad is a plastic surgeon, and my brother as well is in plastic surgery as well. He's actually a resident in Mayo Clinic. And so since little, I think I have that little bias that has increased and increased every time. So once I started rotating in plastic surgery when I was in med school, I definitely realized that this is what I want to do and I want to pursue. And since then, I've been like working hard to make it possible. I do echo what Alex said in terms of mentors and how that had impacted my career in general. And I think that all the inspirations that I have gathered throughout my path in plastic surgery has been unparalleled, and has made me continue doing basically the best that I can do to achieve what I am currently doing. So that's a little bit about me. And yes, guess like let's continue with a few questions that I have here set up with help of the team. So the first one is regarding research. Did you guys take any research year? And if so, what was your experience in research?
Well, I can start. Well, in Venezuela, we don't have any experience in research. That means that when I started my research experience was from zero and has been amazing. Fortunately, we have the opportunity to do some basic science research during my first years as a research fellow. And we work with adipose-derived stem cells and tissue regeneration. And one of my projects was in nerve regeneration with mice. That was amazing. And we do surgeries in mice. And I learned how to work with all these IACUT protocols and, writing proposal for grant applications and all these things. Also, we had the experience working with patient databases, especially my PI is a specialist in lymphedema surgery, and we has been working on that and writing manuscripts everything related with that. I think the research is essential, and as you can, the best of this thing is that you are able to go to meetings and present your work, doing poster and podium presentation, and most importantly, doing networking, knowing people that is following the same path that you are doing, and all these mentorship opportunities.
I can quickly kind of touch on a few things. I didn't take a research year, but was able to still be, fairly productive in the 4 years of medical school. And I'll just echo also what Karla was saying, that I think one of the biggest things about doing research is getting integrated to plastic surgery, learning that language. And so when you start doing your interviews or you start networking at these meetings, you can kind of talk the same language. And then I think along with that, it goes understanding like what the meetings are, what all the different acronyms stand for. And so, you just kind of become integrated to like this community because you're doing research, going to conferences and networking. And, for better or for worse, a big thing about matching and plastic surgery, because it is such a small community, is, at times who and, the people that, can reach out for you, or who you talk to at meetings, et cetera. And doing research allows you to go to meetings and kind of gives you these opportunities. But similarly, I didn't really have any research going into medical school. I probably could have taken advantage of stuff at Duke, but I think I was a bit of a slacker back then. And, when I came into med school, I knew that I needed to do research if I wanted to pursue plastics. And I think that was, starting from day one, or, pretty early on in first year, to find people that knew how to do research to kind of show me the ropes, and then ultimately getting to a point where I can, come up with my own ideas and then kind of push those projects through.
Yeah, thanks. So I think I am kind of the same. I always liked research since I was in med school, but in Colombia, for me at least, it was really hard to get a project started. And once I started, it was really hard to find like all the resources for me to actually do it, which was one of the main reasons why I decided to come here and also do research. And when I came, I didn't know entirely about research, and that's why I'm starting to formally train in research, taking courses and the masters that I have taken. This is always what I say, like when you start research, you go from 0 to 100. So you are so excited that you want to start, and you start involving in a lot of things, and the learning is just exponential. Like you start learning a lot, and you learn the language, you are updated, you learn a little bit more about plastic surgery in another level because it's different. Also, the network that you can generate throughout research is so powerful, like collaborations. You get to meet different people, what they're doing. You are on the top of everything all the time, which I think that's something really amazing. I took 2 years, 2.5 years of research, and it was really after graduation. So I think it has been really helpful because it has provided me or improved my critical thinking. Once you start doing research, you start having critical thinking and say, oh, why is this done this way? Why don't we do this way? And you start creating your own questions, as Alex mentioned. At the beginning, you don't know what are the questions, but then once you like do something else, you start thinking, oh, why are we doing this? What's the purpose of this? What can we do different? And start thinking all these new things, which is really good. So I believe like research, or personally for me, it's a great asset to have that complements what you're going to come then in the clinical part. So I guess at this time, for me in research has been like fundamental to even to understand manuscripts. Like before starting research, I could read a paper and I was like, okay, good. I'm just going to go to the discussion. Let's see the conclusions, and that's it. But it's so much more than that. That you get to learn throughout doing research. And I think that's what improving your critical thinking. So I guess that has been my experience throughout research.
I did research. I did a research year. When I did a research year, my school didn't have a home program in plastic surgery, and research was a way for me to stand out. It also helps that I'm curious, and I just had a goal of writing a paper. As a student, research is the professional reason for talking to mentors in plastic surgery. Like, there's not a whole lot of, if you're not a clinical student yet, or if you're off rotation, having a reason to reach out to a mentor makes it like facilitates the conversations way more and helps you make connections with people. And so if you're a student who's like, okay, I want to do plastic surgery, they're all talking about research. It's like, I've never done that before. It's okay. We all were at that point. But the thing to get out of it is, like, as a student or as a not clinical person yet, we have time that some of the clinicians don't to kind of flesh out ideas they might have that they kind of just throw out there and haven't had the time to pick. And so there's all of these, what's the word, low-hanging fruits that are probably available if you just sat down with someone and like made that connection and ran it through. And then you as a student, I think, in my opinion, you have to like follow up on that. And that is like how you go back onto what Valeria, Karla, and Alex were saying. That's how you get integrated into that community, how you become, like, learn what plastic surgery is, and then also kind of become an asset. Not just like say yes to a billion projects, but like have that one baby that you like presented, were able to meet people, and then like manage to come back and publish it, right? And like that would be the golden way of like doing research. And then you get to meet friends along the way. Like Alex and I are great buddies that met like doing conference stuff, right? So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times, the professional reason is like so important. I have a question that I have to ask about research, and the mentor that I have is like, just come to the OR. And so I'd show up to the OR and I'd meet like 2 other attendings and like 3 other residents. And then you kind of sit down afterwards and you talk about more things than just research, just catching up, and you learn about each other and whatnot. And so it just definitely like strengthens that relationship. And yeah, that reason can be research.
Great discussion. Let's move forward then to the next question. If anyone else have anything else to say. Perfect. I just want to make a brief stop here, and if anyone here in the meeting would like to do any question, like, feel free to raise your hand, or the chat is also available if you guys have any questions for us. So the next question would be, what do you think was the most influential component of your application, and why?
I believe, for me, that networking and letters of recommendation are crucial. Even though I have all this past experience in plastic, if I don't have that good connections, or that mentor that write a good letter for me, I wasn't able to get the position. I think that this is essential.
Girl, thanks. I actually do agree that networking was an important component. I think that letter of recommendations as well, as I imagine that letters of recommendations basically shows the work that you have done in other eyes, basically, because you can show in your CV all your hard work, which can be reflected, in everything that we have done, like publications, if either sub-eyes, rotations, whatever. But having someone else outside that is supporting that, I think that's really important. And networking. So research is also, as we mentioned before, a great opportunity for you to meet a lot of people and be involved in plastic surgery. And I think, like, for me, going to meetings having my mentor, you know, like introducing me to different people, that opportunity to get to know everyone you know, it was really important, because then you can see when you get like the interviews, like, oh, I've spoke with this person, and I think that's different than having an interview and don't know the other person anything about it. And I think like that was something really important. And I think like people do see your work, do see what you are doing, and that speaks highly, and you can see it once you start doing all the interviews. Probably at the beginning you might think like no, but then everything will come up together. And I think those two main things were the most influential things for me. Oh, well, and on the other thing, definitely mentorship. I feel like having a mentor was really important, someone that supports you throughout the process, guides you. I think like in the application, like in this path, it's important to listen to everyone. What has been their experience, what you can do, you know, either equal or not equal from someone. I guess that was really important as well for me. And yeah, I think that mentorship was an important aspect in my application as well.
I want to say that like y'all are all in medical school, which is like a huge accomplishment just in general. Something to remember about plastic surgery is that it's competitive. So like if you look at the NRMP, just like scroll down, look at the matched versus like not matched people, and like everyone's like excellent, has like a billion publications and like has done like a billion different things. I think something that is unique to kind of like I'm going to say the society, but like just in general, like us as like Latino like plastic surgeons, is like we have some inherent grit. I think that some of our other colleagues from other backgrounds don't have. That you can argue about what it is, but I think there's something about that Latin way of thinking that like merges really well with surgery in particular. And if you're able to like find that reason for yourself, that's the thing that I think distinguished me. Like at a certain point, we're all just like stats on a page, and like it's the story you're able to shape. And yes, it's the mentors, yes, it's all this experience, but right, like you're going to be strong clinically, you're going to be academic, because that's what people want in a plastic surgeon. But the next thing is like, what makes you different? What makes you unique? And how does that apply back to plastic surgery? And how can that help patients, right? Because at the end of the day, that's why we're doing this, right? We want to help patients live better, more fulfilling lives, whether aesthetically or functionally.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys probably mentioned most of the things that I was going to say. I think things that really came up over and over on my interviews was, you know, somebody that wrote a really good letter of recommendation and they would comment on it. Or, wow, you did like so much research. Can you like tell me about your favorite, you know, or your most proud research project? And being able to like speak eloquently about that was nice, because I definitely had, you know, a few projects where I was able to have that idea myself and then bring that to fruition. I think that shows a lot of dedication and initiative. But yeah, I think like Edgar said, I think trying to find what makes you stand out, I think is a daunting task, but you just have to know that everybody definitely is unique. And yeah, not sure if there's anything else I could add.
I got one more that I was told by a mentor when I was freaking out about interviewing, and they're like, yo, Edgar, you're normal, like you're good.
Yeah, I was,
I think is something else to like remember, right?
That's
like
true.
Like I love to like go to restaurants. Like some of my interviews, I just talked about food and like biking and running, because that's what I do with my free time.
yeah,
That's actually really true. Like what makes you unique is what you are, and that's what they see. They are seeing someone that is going to be part of a team and how they, you know, are with people. So yeah, just be normal.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are having questions from in the chat and also here. I don't know, Juan Moncada, do you want to ask something?
Yes, hello, Valeria. Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Galvez, and all of you for creating this space to share your experiences. And my question to you is, how was the process for each one of you to find that mentor? Like, how were you able to connect? Even like for us coming as international medical graduates, like you don't know people here. How was that process for all of you? Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your question. And I think I can start on that one because it goes a little bit with G Haswan Chen. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. If with your question about IRI. So when I started here, I got this position here at BI throughout one program, which is called International Research Initiative. Not sure if you are aware of that. I think yes, based on your on your name. But yes, I started doing International Research Initiative. I got accepted, and then they linked me with Dr. Lee, Dr. Bernard Lee, here at BI, and I had to pass through a several application process, and once like I had a meeting with the team, and they basically accept me, and that was like my link here. And I think like throughout my time here in Boston, you have like a supervisor, right? But then that supervisor starts becoming a mentor. And something really nice is that, at least here, my experience here is that it has been like really open. And I have had the opportunity to work not only with him, but other PIs, which have also become mentors for me. So I guess that for me, finding a mentor was throughout research. So my application, that was critical for me to have this connection. And then once I started working with him, it was like really, like what happened. And that's how we started like creating this mentor mentee, and also having the opportunity to collaborate with other labs, and same having that. That was my experience. I don't know. I think Karla, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, of course. I immediately think about research because one of my two of my mentors that I got was through research. And also my Venezuelan mentor, he did a fellowship here, and he has some connections, and also connect me through with people here, and that helps now. And that is how I get my another American plastic surgery mentorship here in the United States, through my mentor in Venezuela. That helps. And also it is important when we were talking about the letter of recommendation, for international medical graduates, we always have this dilemma. If, okay, I have to get a letter from my country or a letter from the United States plastic surgeons. And I remember one of the program director that I was talking with him, and he said, you need a strong letter. And the people that most know you, that knows you better, is the people where you were working in Venezuela. And definitely you have to have this strong letter in your application. And I got 4 letters, 3 for plastic surgeon here in the United States, and 1 letter, a strong letter, talking about all my experience in Venezuela from my Venezuelan mentor.
Yeah, so much respect for the IMGs applying for plastic surgery. I know how tough it is. I'm very blessed to not have to be in that situation. But I think one thing that was good was for me was I kind of knew I wanted to pursue plastic surgery, or at least had that interest going into med school. And I think I had kind of like that fearless mentality of, I'm just going to reach out to the PD like from day one to find out how I can be competitive. And so before I even started med school, I just would cold email. And I think I sent like 4 or 5 emails before I got a response, just asking, hey, I'm interested in plastic surgery, and how can we sit down to have a conversation on what I need to do to get me there? And, I think I was also really blessed to have a PD that's been really amazing and who has really helped me connect with all the other attendings and other people in my department. And so it kind of just started off with that one mentor who I shadowed and then started doing research with. And then I would ask him to introduce me to another attending, or if there was other research projects going on with other, residents and whatnot. And, you just start off with one person and it kind of just webs out like that. And it's just that networking and not being afraid to reach out. And I think somebody also in the chat put like, how did you reach out to plastic surgeons to find a mentor? And did you find your mentor through shadowing? And I've definitely had some attendings that I've, created a relationship by just showing up to shadow for a few days. And then either we work on a research project later on, or, it's maybe a few months before I touch base with them again and, just keep the relationship going. But yeah, I think it's just having that mentality that you can't be afraid to reach out. I think something that I've heard from a lot of my younger peers has been like, oh no, I can't reach out to the PD, I can't reach out to the chair until like I've done something to prove myself, or I want to, make them look, I want to make myself look good before I reach out, and I don't want to disappoint them. And I think that's all fair stuff. But I think at the end of the day, it's like, you have to reach out at some point, and it's better earlier than never. And then if you reach out earlier, they know that you're like a first year, a second year, and you're wanting to learn more, and that already shows more initiative than anybody else. So I think that's my thing, is just reaching out as early as possible, and that's cold calling, cold emailing, whatever it is, shadowing, researching, etc.
Yeah, I'm just gonna echo, like, privileged to be a US med graduate. Y'all, like Valeria and Karla, you're all next level in like so many other ways. Yeah, just din fe, right? Like, have faith in yourself, be humble about it. Like, it's 100% like a vulnerable place to reach out, cold email someone who doesn't know you and be like, hey, I'm interested in learning what you do. Can you just like spend time with me, right? Right, that is like literally like saying like, I don't know anything, please help me, right? Which is a very vulnerable and like honest place. And it happens, it's normal. Get out of your head about it. Find a big email list somewhere and just email all along the line, and just find the one person who replies. And that one person who replied is like, latch onto that person, because they found the time to reply to you in their like giant mess of things. So like, keep like, hang on to that thread and make it bigger.
Great. Amazing discussion so far, guys. So let's get into the chat. There are a lot of questions here. Patricia Fuentes, do you think away rotations? Oh, sorry, before. Stefano, then we're gonna go with yours, Patricia. Stefano said one before. In average, how many publications, presentations, and or posters will you recommend having? Yeah,
I think that there is a research, no, a paper talking about the number of publication. And well, in my case, when I applied for the match, I had in total published in the way to be published 40 publications, and as a first author, around 7 publications, and in poster and podium presentation, 35 in total, but having taken my experience, my past experience. But I think that is for US medical student is a little different. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was just going to comment, if those numbers sound crazy, that's because I'm sure Karla worked really hard. And I think for IMGs, I think that number has to be, or tends to be higher, just because having to do research years and stand out a little bit more. I think NRMP publishes kind of average statistics on like total of all of those elements that, Stefano, you put in there. And I think I saw like at least when I applied, it was like 17 maybe total things or something like that. You know, I think what's most important is making sure that you have first author research papers. Like that's going to be the biggest thing. It's so hard to put like a number on things because like everyone's so different. And now that like step one is pass fail, and I know that research is going to be more important, I find it hard to see that people are going to put like a filter on like a number as opposed to like quality versus quantity and that sort of thing. But, you know, I think if you can have like, you know, 10-ish maybe, and maybe not even that many, not even 10 research like publications, I think that you're sitting at, you know, something good. I know people that have only like 1 or 2 or 3 and they matched, you know, just fine. Again, they were US medical graduates. So yeah, I think it's just making sure you have first author things and just making sure that you're working on stuff throughout, you know, the 4 years is important. But yeah, it's so hard to put a number on that because I think it's going to vary so much.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that you are the best to add this, that depends on the kind of research you do, basic science or clinical research. That
because you know
you can have only one.
No. Yeah, no, you know, I had like over 10 or 15 or something, but some of those were like viewpoints that took like, you know, 2 days to write or something like that. Whereas some of them were like, you know, 400, 500 patient chart reviews to do and then write like a big manuscript on. So, you know, the number is hard. It's you just want to work on quality over quantity and making sure you know the stuff that you've written, because if you don't, that just like doesn't look good on the interview.
I wanted to chime in. You guys are really appreciate everyone's insight and your experience, but just to kind of absolutely, you know, the goal is to get into plastic surgery, right? We understand that it's competitive, right? And you guys have just matched, and so it's awesome hearing all of your experiences and the spectrum of where you're coming from a U.S. program to an international medical foreign graduate. And so the thing that I wanted to chime in on is just the research part. So why are these program directors, why are these programs looking into research? And so a little bit of insight, really the main reason is they want to make sure that you're really interested in plastic surgery, that you are really committed, and you've taken, like Valeria, you know, you did 2 years, right? 2 years of research. Is that right?
Yes.
And so that if you've done 2 years of research, you can see the amount of work, you know, that she's done, dedicated work, and that opportunity that she's had. And those opportunities will show the plastic surgery programs, many of them which are academic, right? Academic means they care about research. And that's, since they care about research, they're going to look at applicants that are not always, but typically are focusing or doing some type of research. But the reality is, and you can see with a lot of the questions, is that not all our institutions are made equal, you know? So you have from the spectrum of, for the US medical students, right? Coming from a privileged position, for myself being at Stanford or being at the Mayo Clinic, where you literally can just roll out of bed and you have to be assertive, like Alex said, you have to ask for the opportunities, but it's not, you can literally start working on a research project just by showing up. And so the other spectrum is Valeria, who has, you know, had to go out of her way to find that opportunity, and then go from there, right? And so, and it's not easy. If you have a home institution, you're kind of limited by your geographical locations. And so, but things have changed in the last couple of years where you can remotely do research projects, but you know, the quantity or how much you're able to be a first author, things like that, that's where a lot of it does require some risk, right? You're risking your time to seeing if it's worthwhile. And that's where mentorship comes into play, is finding out, is this the right opportunity for me to take? Is this the right place for me to commit some time? Anyways, you guys know I can always keep talking. I'm going to stop talking. I just wanted to chime in on just on that part.
Yeah, I think that's really true. Like personally, what happened to me is that coming here to Boston, COVID started, and it was delayed around 6 months, 9 months approximately to come here. So what I ended up doing was take advantage of that time and use what Dr. Gall said, start working in research remotely, start getting involved in courses. So I took the PPCR at Harvard, which is like Principles and Practice in Clinical Research, to get a little bit more involved and get more prepared once I came here to be as efficient as possible. So like in average for me, I ended up having published at the time of application around 46 papers and submitted like 6. And in oral presentations, I did wow, let me see, like 9 in regionals and 20, something like that in nationals. So I think I was really active, and what really was important, and I always say it, is collaboration. Collaboration was really important for me. And I was very like lucky to be in a busy research team. So you were like all the time working, helping with tables, helping with stats, helping with this, and be involved in different things, which helped me a lot. And made it productive. And I think that was really good. But I guess it depends, as Dr. Galvez said, in the program and everything.
Yeah, and then the other, oh, sorry, go ahead, Edgar.
Go, Alex. No, I see Hector's name there. I'm gonna call him out because we were just talking the other day. The other thing about it's like the mentorship aspect is you're gonna have to learn who to ask questions and where, and what is the role in research that you kind of carve out for yourself. And that requires just like sitting down with people that like know you really intimately. And again, like going out there and like being the one that pushes the project forward. Go, Alex.
So what I was gonna say is, just since we're already kind of like on this topic, somebody else also had a question about, should research be original and related to plastic surgery? And then what do program directors ask during the interview? And so, I mean, I feel like we're already kind of on this topic, so I just wanted to just quickly touch on that. But I think all research is original, I would say. I guess if it's like your own project versus like somebody else's project, I think it obviously, if it's your own project and you're able to have an idea and carry through completion, I think that's better. But working on other people's projects is totally fine. You'll be handed like first author opportunities and whatnot. And related to plastic surgery, I think the preference is to have more plastic surgery than other, specialties. But at the end of the day, everyone's journey is different. So, if you are exploring other fields, like I explored like ENT and neurosurgery and dermatology, and I worked on research projects in all those fields. And so at the end of the day, was all my research in plastics? No, but the majority was. I think as long as you can tell the story and be honest about kind of how you went along that's totally fine. Don't kind of get in your head about, I can't take this project because it's not plastics, because if you're exploring or whatnot. And then in terms of what do program directors ask about research in the interviews, I think the biggest question for me was essentially like, what is the project that you're most proud about and why? Other than that, I think they maybe cherry pick like a random project that I did because they had like an interest in that one thing, and then they asked me about my project. But other than that, it was basically like, what's your most meaningful and then why?
Yeah. Great discussion, guys. So we have a lot of questions right now. For the next ones, I want to be, let's try to go straight to the point, as we're time set. We're ahead of time. And so the next one is with Patricia Fuentes. Do you think away rotations and letters of recommendations within plastic surgery during MS3 and MS4 were important elements of your applications? Thanks. I think that one goes more to Alex at Edgar.
Yeah, I think, if you look at recent papers and whatnot, if you see, they'll say your home program and your away rotations are where you typically end up matching. And so those are really important. And It doesn't secure an interview for you, but it makes it more likely to get an interview at your away rotation too. Just a thing to note about away rotations, it's a month-long interview, so you really have to be on your game for the whole month. And if you can get a strong letter from an away rotation, which is difficult because you're working with so many different people, and so it's hard to like put together like a really like in-depth letter and whatnot. But if you can get a strong one, then it shows that people not just on your side because they're from your home program can vouch for you. There's people from like another institution that have only known you for a month can vouch for you. And then letters of recommendation, I think there was like a paper that showed that program directors found that letters of recommendation like were very important to them outside of like a few other metrics. But yeah, I think they are important.
Yeah, and I remember when Alex and I were waiting to hear back from some of us because we were texting back and forth. Just that one letter from an away is what's gonna like just be the checkbox that like, okay, what they're saying at their home program isn't just like one-time fluke. It's like there's these three, like I had 3 letters from my home program and 1 away rotation letter that that's the only one I was able to secure, right? And that's just how it shook out for me. But I made sure I was on my game, and my away rotation letter was just a checkbox that was like, okay, he's solid. He was able to work with a new team every month and like, just be humble and just do what needed to be done on that rotation. So 100%. And it also does open up different mentorship opportunities. You're going to meet different people that you're going to see for the rest of your career, which is the other way to look at it.
Okay.
Perfect. So for the next question, well, I guess this one we discussed it a little bit, that how did you reach out to plastics to find a mentor? We already talked about it. Did you find your mentor throughout shadowing? I guess like both of us were more throughout research. Should our research be original and related to plastic surgery? What do program directors ask during interview? I think Alex said,
yeah,
I was also what happened with me. It was, what was your, what is your research project that you feel the proudest and why, and talk about it. Also, I had that same experience, like picked up one paper, I'll talk about this, So if you're involved in a research project, of course, know what's the research project. That's why you are in the paper. So Diana, I have no research experience in 7 JOG. I tried to get into a research fellowship, but I haven't had any positive answer. Also asked shadowing, but no answer. What can I do? I live in NYC. So, so keep reaching, keep sending emails. I would recommend also applying to the IRI. I think that IRI was a great opportunity for me. And I think like once someone will answer, and that will be the opportunity, and you have to find your opportunity. So keep up sending emails. I don't know if someone else have any other recommendations, but I think that's what I would say. And be honest in your email. Send your CV as well, like put everything in your email. I don't know if someone else wants to add something there.
Opportunity board, PSRC has one where they post research opportunities. ACAPS does. Latino Surgical Society and National Hispanic Medical Association might also have a directory of people you could reach out to. If you are a US citizen, you might qualify for the NIH C32 if you're already an MD graduate. So look into that. There's random funding mechanisms that just kind of exist in the wild. And I think if you needed to, you could reach out to any of us on the panel. You can find us and we can talk through that a little more.
I agree, and that's actually really good. Like for me, social media was really good because you get like there sometimes people post things like we're needing a research fellow or this position is open or so on. Also Facebook. I just added the link that could be useful. They which is what Edgar said that you can find those positions. That's actually something really good to add.
Yeah, I also put a paper that came out of let's see, look like maybe CHOP and Mississippi, and that basically tried to put together a database of research fellowship opportunities. And if you go in there, it's like on PRS, and then I think there's a link on there somewhere that shows you like their spreadsheet. And so I don't know how frequently that's updated. That was from 2021, but I'm sure a lot of those opportunities are still available too.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. The next question is from Aida Martinez Salazar, and goes to Edgar. How did you navigate getting into research projects, shadowing while going to a medical school with no home program?
The biggest one is, so the other thing was my school had an independent program. UAB has had an independent program for years. If you ever want to learn about just Latino plastic surgeons, Dr. Baskinez is a legend, and he helped fund the UAB plastic surgery program. So that's like another privilege that I had. But if you have to like make the most of whatever resources you have with you, right? So if you're in like a bigger city and your med school might not have a home program, but there's one right next door that does, don't like psych yourself out, reach out to them. And it's really just the reaching out is the barrier on our end, and hoping we make it through whatever filters are on the other end. In terms of managing research and like clinical stuff, you just have to be efficient. You have to separate time for it. There was no research infrastructure at my school, so I had to kind of make it. And I used a lot of resources actually outside of plastic surgery in order to help me with that. So like the ENT program and the urology program all had very organized research infrastructures. So I went to those meetings and kind of just copied what they did and did it on my side. I hope that was helpful. But yeah, it's managing time and like having start and end dates for yourself. And there's lots of productivity hacks that I probably just stole from YouTube.
Good. So next question, Shervin Tabacoli. How to apply funded postdoctoral research position if it's a fellowship related to plastic surgery? Which skills should I have in my CV? Would someone want to answer that? I guess that's really hard to find. I guess that funded research fellowship positions usually are in labs that have grants. But yeah, and I guess that in this web pages that Edgar was saying, sometimes you can get that information if they're funded or not, but those are really hard. I don't know if someone wants to add something about that.
For example, in my case, when I came here in Mayo, they say that for the first year, that will be an unpaid position, but we start working in grant proposals and sending proposal for grant application, and we got a grant. And a year before, I start getting payment. Okay, but it's hard because you have to keep applying for grant, and if you don't win the grant, and you don't will get the payment now. Is this one of the options?
I'm gonna look up TL1 if you're a medical student, T32 if you're already graduated. Those are both NIH mechanisms for providing funding to students. It's not much. It's based on the cost of living to your area. It's like graduate fellowship stipend. But that's what paid for my year because my mentors didn't have a funded lab. In terms of what skills to highlight, the biggest ones for research are how do you like research is all about like gathering all of this data and telling a story. So like being great at organizing, being able to show that you're like a data analyst in some way, some sort of leader. Those are all things that are going to be important for research because it's basically project management with people and with data sets, right? So like being able to like link the like research is like science is all of this data with a story. So like being able to say like I was a math teacher, like I didn't have research skills. I said I know how to make lessons plans for kids and like say that story in like a little bit, right? And that is the skill I had. I was able to organize lessons and present them to people. And that's a very important skill for research because that's what you do, right? You organize data and present it to people. So whatever skills you think you don't or don't have, you just got to come back and if you like link in like and search like research skills, look at the top 10 whatever LinkedIn hits are for research and then look at your experiences and try to create the stories that connect to that.
Yeah, and one thing I'll touch on, it's kind of an aside, but basically like one skill that you can have for research that's like really unique and valuable is knowing how to do stats. If you can do stats, it like helps you so much because at a lot of institutions, you have to go through the stats program or the stats department or their stats person, and that can be a barrier because they might be backed up with other projects, etc. If you know how to do the stats yourself, it helps push projects along so much, like so quickly. Like my girlfriend, she knows how to do stats, so I had her on some of my projects because she knew how to do it, and we were just like able to move things along. So if you know how to do basic stats, it really helps for research.
Yes, I actually, that was something it was a great skill. I loved stats. So I guess that helped me a lot. And that's why I started like entering to all this informal studies in this. But for me, Stata, the software it's amazing and I highly recommend it to everyone. It's very simple. Like you can, in this course that I took, there was principle and practice in clinical research. I just put the link. It tells you like that course explains you really the basic stuff of clinical research. And for me, it was really helpful and get me like the introduction to this statistical software. And once you get to, like start working with some stat, you start like learning a lot and everything starts coming up. But yeah, that's a great recommendation. Learn one statistical software, learn how to do stats. And I think that's a really useful tool to have.
I just shared a link. So UCLA and NYU both have like a dummies guide to stats and like picking the right test. I use them every day that I did research because I'm an idiot and I always forget, but like it literally goes through like categorical versus, I don't even remember what the other name for the other variables are. There's two types. Look it up. It's on YouTube and all over the internet.
Okay, I guess this was a great discussion. I don't know if there's a last question. We are right now 1 hour talking. I don't know if there's any last question that someone would like to do. If not, we can wrap this up. Okay. Thank you so much for all of you joining us, listening to our stories. I hope you guys have found this really helpful. And I think like I'm speaking from everyone as well, that if you guys need something, just feel free to reach out if you have more questions. Thank you, Karla, Edgar, and Alex for joining as well. You guys are amazing. Dr. Galvez for all your support and also, be the leader on all this. And Isabel as well. You're amazing. Thanks for having this, setting all this up. And well, I don't know if you guys have any other comments, last comments.
I was just gonna say I put my Insta and my email in case you wanted to reach out. Either one is fine. Feel free to reach out whenever. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah.
We were like all in your shoes and willing to, continue that forward.
Yeah, I will do the same. I was just to say that feel free to contact us through Instagram account or Gmail. We are here to help.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.